Kiddos, this week's homework was a little bit different because we had pages that had graphs on them, and then we had to answer some questions about them. So, as we're going through our homework today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the questions, but I'm going to keep you on the graph so that we can visibly talk about where we're getting those answers. Then, once we scroll down, I can write the answers in to show you. But I really want you to be able to see what they look like when we're answering our questions. So this was page one's graph where you were answering questions about Jessica, who's reading her favorite book this week. We wanted to look at the different times that she spent. So the first question said, what day did Jessica read the longest? So if we're looking here, we have a couple of parts of our graph that we want to identify. Down the bottom, our labels are the day of the week, and on the side, our labels are the hours. So if we want to know when she read the longest, we need to look at which number went the highest up and over what day. So if we're looking specifically at this first one, then I'm going to pull up my ruler so you can see it just a little bit better. But if we flip it, this one's the top, it's going to be about 4 hours. And then if we flip it this way so that we can see the day, it's going to be Tuesday. So on Tuesday, she read for 4 hours. That's going to be the longest. The second question said, how many hours did Jessica read this week? Well, in order to answer that question, we need to look at the different places that are plotted. So Monday was 1 hour. Tuesday, we said, was 4 hours. Wednesday was 2 hours. Thursday was 3 hours. And Friday again was 2 hours. And again, I'm just getting these numbers by looking at where they would be across on the hour part. If I want to know how many hours she read altogether, I would need to add 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. So how many hours did she read this week in total? She read 12 hours. Now, I'm happy that I went and I labeled these because the next question says, did she read longer on Wednesday or Thursday? And I could see here that she read for 3 hours on Thursday. So that would be the longest amount of time. How much longer did Jessica read on Friday? Let me change my colors. On Friday than Monday? Well, Friday was 2 hours and Monday was 1. So 2 minus 1 is 1 hour. Place the days in order from greatest to least based on the amount of time she read for. So I'm going to say that this was first. This was the greatest. And then 2, 3, and 4 would be tied. And then 5. And again, I'll put these in order on the page for you. And what 2 days did Jessica read the same amount on? That would have been Wednesday and Friday. So if we come down here to the answers, just for those of you that like to see it as well as hear it, what day did she read the longest on? It was Tuesday. And again, you can pause this video at any point if you need to. How many hours did Jessica read this week? Again, we took the measurements and we added them together. So she had a 4 hour, a 1 hour, a 2, a 3, and a 2, which gave her 12 total hours of reading time. For our next question, it said, which day did she read longer on, Wednesday or Thursday? It was Thursday by 1 hour. How much longer did Jessica read on Friday than Monday? Friday was 2 hours. Monday was 1 hour. So it was a total of 1 hour. Putting our days in order from greatest to least. Remember, we had 2 that were tied, so it didn't matter which way you put them. I said that they were Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, and Monday. And then what 2 days did she read the same amount of time? It was Wednesday and Friday. Any questions on this first page? Bring them with you to class. All right, Nuggets, welcome to page 2, where we are answering questions about this spelling test. So that Mrs. Parrish gave a spelling test to her 5th grade class. The results can be found in graph 2. Answer each of the questions below. Again, while we're going over the answers to these, I am going to be showing you the graph, but then I will go back to physically write out the answers so you can see them as well if that is helpful to you. First question read, how many students got below an 80%? So if this is the 80%, below would be anything that is 70 or 60. Each of these X is equal to 1. So 2 students got below an 80% grade. How many students got a 90%? If we go over here, 90% has 1, 2, 3 students. How many students took the spelling test? Well, we need to count each of these X's to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 students took the test. What 2 scores did only 1 student get the grade? Down here, they each have 1 X, 60 and 70. How many students got 100%? There were 2 of them. And if Mrs. Parrish had 15 students in her class, how many were absent? Well, we said that 9 took the test, and 15 minus 9 would be 6. All right, let's go down to the page and let's fill in these answers for those of you that is helpful. How many students got below an 80%? We said 2. How many students got a 90%? We said 3. How many students took the spelling test? We said 9. What 2 scores did only 1 student get? A 60 and 70. How many students got 100%? There were 2. And if there were 15 students, how many were absent? We said 6. Any questions on this? Please bring them with you to class. All right, Nuggets, we are looking at our third graph. I might actually need to flip my iPad for this one. Let's see if that helps. There we go. That's better. So our third graph is looking at the miles run. And again, I am going to read the questions while we view the graph, and then we will go down to fill them in at the end. So we're talking about Raven, who is training for a marathon, and her results of which are on this graph. So if we're looking at the labels, we have weeks down the bottom, right here, and we have miles going up and down. Here's our first question. How many miles did she run in the first 3 weeks? Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and label. We have 2, 4, 1. I'm going to say that's a 5. And I should get my ruler out. Let's be more precise, shall we? Let's be more precise. Nope, see, now that I'm more precise, this is a 6 and an 8. And that's why we take the ruler out, a 6 and an 8. All right, let's go ahead and talk it through. So how many miles did she run in the first 3 weeks? Well, if we're looking at those, we have 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 1 more is 7. What week did she run the most miles? It's going to be week 5. If you look at the chart, that's the one that's highest up, where she ran 8 miles. How many more miles did she run in week 4? Let me change my color. Then week 1. Well, 6 minus 2 is 4, so she ran 4 additional miles. How many miles did she run in week 4 and 5 combined? 6 plus 8 is 14. What week did she run the least? It's going to be week 3, because we're all the way down the bottom where she only ran 1 mile. And final question, what do you think happened in week 3? And you could really say anything. This is just kind of a prediction. It could have been that she got hurt, or that she went on vacation, or maybe she got sick. But you can tell that her training definitely declined on week 3. So something happened. Lots of answer choices for that one. So writing these in for those of you that like to see it, how many miles did she run in the first 3 weeks? She ran 7. What week did she run the most? She ran the most in week 5. How many more miles did she run in week 4 than in week 1? We said that it was 4. It was 6 minus 2. How many miles did she run in 4 and 5 together? It was 8 plus 6, which is 14. Which week did she run the least? Week 3, and why? Could be anything. Lots of answer choices. It could have been that she got hurt, that she was tired, that she took a week off. Lots and lots of answer options. Totally up to you what you put here, as long as it makes sense. A reason that she would have ran less. Any questions on these kiddos? Bring them with you to class. All right, Nuggets, we're talking about an 8th grade math class that took a poll of their favorite protein that they eat for dinner. Let's take a look at this graph on page 4 to see what our answers are. So we have our foods: fish, chicken, steak, pork, and tofu, and each of our x's is going to be 1. How many students like pork? There's 3. How many students like, there's a couple here. How many students like steak or fish or chicken? So we have 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 1 is 4. What are the 2 groups with 2 student votes in each? Well, we have chicken and tofu. Do more students like tofu or steak? The answer is tofu. There's 2 there. How many students voted? Well, we have 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 3 is 9 students. And which 2 groups only had 1 vote? Fish and steak. Let's go ahead down to our answer page. There were 3 students who liked pork. There were 4 students who liked steak, fish, and chicken. Chicken and tofu each had 2 votes. More students liked tofu than steak. 9 students voted, and fish and steak each had 1 vote. Any questions, sweet faces? Bring them with you to class. All right, my loves, we are on our last graph where we're looking at the average temperature. We're comparing the month to the temperature that we saw in that month. So let's go in first and let's write in our temperatures. So if we're looking, we have a 50, a 65, 55, 75, and 100. What was the average temperature in April? The average temperature in April was 65. What month is the warmest? If we look, July is the highest up. That's going to be the warmest. How many months were recorded in this graph? March, April, May, June, July. That's 5 months. What was the average temperature in June? The average temperature in June was 75. What month is the coolest? The coolest month was March. That's the lowest down. And how much warmer is it than in June than April? It was 10 degrees difference. 10 degrees difference. All right, let's go ahead and write these in on our page. There we go. So what was the average temperature in April? 65 degrees. What month was the warmest? July. How many months were recorded? 5. What was the average temperature in June? Oh, I forgot that one. The average temperature was 75. There we go. I forgot. 75. Which month was the coolest? March. And how much cooler was June than April? 10 degrees. That's it for this week, love bugs. Any questions? Bring them with you to class.